Welcome back everybody to another fantastic video. I'm so happy that you're with me today because I bought a PlayStation 1 and some games. Yes, it may be 2024, but I'm going back old school and I'm going to tell you if any of these games are worthwhile playing or if it's worthwhile picking up a PlayStation 1 in general, because I do feel like it is a good time to collect for this particular system. And I have to admit, I haven't collected a bunch of stuff for the platform in the past, but it is pretty nice little system and I want to get into it. And I want to thank everybody for subscribing and liking the videos. It really helps out a lot. Let's go ahead and get started and find out what the PlayStation 1 has to offer. Of course, the first thing I did was boot up a Star Wars game to make sure that my PlayStation 1 was working.
It's working!
And now that I know it's working, I can play some Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And now I know this is probably going to be looking kind of bad for me because I love the prequels and I love The Phantom Menace. And this game brings me back so much nostalgia. So it was one that I absolutely had to have. I'm not saying that it is like the best game or anything like that, but for me personally, it brings back so much nostalgia at a time where I just really had everything kind of going great in my life and was just probably some of the happiest memories as well. And this game is quite simple, it's quite simplistic. You're going to be able to play through as different characters. I actually played through this recently as well. I understand that these games aren't the best looking games, and even putting together this video, I'm like, ugh, you know, that doesn't look exactly great. I still think the gameplay in a lot of these games make up for it, and so while this might not be everybody's go-to game for the PlayStation 1, I absolutely love it, and I think that the force is strong with Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Give it a try if you haven't. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty easy to get the hang of as well, and if you're a Star Wars fan, I think it's one of the better games, especially from that era. Gran Turismo 2 was a game that came bundled with this, of course, and you know, I gotta say, if you like PlayStation 1, there is a lot of good racing games, and I think Gran Turismo 2 is probably one of the better ones. It's obviously one of the ones that is on a lot of people's list. For whatever reason, it's 2 discs, and you know, I was just having a lot of fun kind of playing around with it and looking at the different kind of sceneries and things like that. We've come a long way, and so I had to put myself in a younger version of myself looking at this, right? So remember when the PlayStation 1 come out, for those of you that were old enough to remember that, you probably came off the Super Nintendo or off of the Sega Genesis at the time. And when you saw this, the 3D graphics, I mean, that was really a huge leap forward. And the gameplay is there, even if graphically it doesn't hold up by today's standards. I think you can still have a lot of fun racing and things like that in this game. Even if it's not the best looking game, you can see how back then it was simply amazing, and you can kind of imagine yourself back as a kid when, you know, you were driving maybe in the back seat of the family car on a family trip to Cape Canaveral.
You kids can't keep your heads to yourself. I'm gonna turn this car around and there'll be no Cape Canaveral for anybody. That's it. Back to Winnipeg.
Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2, absolutely great game. It is such a good game to just kind of going to and have fun, maybe playing against friends or just seeing how you could do against the computer. I kind of got my butt kicked a little bit at the beginning, and then I was like, oh yeah, this is how you play the game. It's just one of those games where you have a lot of fun with it. The arcade style of it is easy to pick up, hard to put down, and just fun to sink a lot of time into. And again, I think that's the thing that takes me back to such a fond memory of this era, is that, you know, the games were just so much fun, and I feel like we've lost that a little bit in the newer stuff. I don't want to get too preachy on it. I enjoy gaming nowadays as well, but it just seems like something is lost with what we used to enjoy and what we used to be able to have fun with as kids and kind of growing up and things like that. So Ready to Rumble Boxing Round 2, hilarious game, love it. And again, this might not be on your list. This isn't a particular list of great games. It's just games that I got with my system in 2024. So this one's a blast though. Had a lot of fun with it. You will too. Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped. Now we're talking, if anybody remembers the PlayStation era, clearly Crash Bandicoot was a huge part of that, and I actually think Crash 3 might be the best from that era. I know some people might hate on that and have fond memories of the first, but I thought the first one was a little bit more rudimentary and more difficult. I enjoy sort of the idea that Crash 3 is, I think, much more for everybody and kind of expanded on its ideas. They weren't just living off this game that was so difficult, so you're gonna suck at it and get angry at it and break your controller. There's some frustrating moments in the game for sure, but overall I think they just did everything much better by the time the third game came around. Naughty Dog really knew what they were doing, and Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped is a tremendous game, and it still holds up today. And even though you can get like completely remade versions of these on current consoles, it's still fun to go back and play because it handles so well. And that's really saying something for all the time that has passed, 30 years or whatever. So yeah, highly recommend this game. Crash Bandicoot, you can't go wrong. Awesome stuff. Disney's Tarzan. Now, don't be hating, but this is actually one of the favorite games that I've played on the PlayStation 1 since I've got it back. And I remember having really good memories of it back then as well, because for all the prowess the PlayStation 1 had as a fantastic 3D game machine, and it did because it was really changing things, it really took things on the 2D level and like the 2.5D level to a place that nobody had seen before, right? I mean, we've seen a little bit of stuff on the Super Nintendo with Star Fox and the way that they did that. It was so rudimentary though. So when you see something like this, it was really well done. And, you didn't really see that a lot from, games that took licenses and things like that. But this one is one of the better ones that is kind of, I guess, maybe under the radar. So this is a little bit of a hidden gem, and I feel like everybody should be able to enjoy this game, whether you're a fan of the show or the movie or whatever. It doesn't really matter because the game is fun. Tomb Raider 2, yes, that's the one where a lot of people really kind of got the idea that this franchise was something special. I know the first one is beloved as well. I have to say, personally though, going back and playing this game, it wasn't very fun. The controls really hinder what you're trying to do and were so clunky. I couldn't really get into it that much. Now, that's not to say I don't have any nostalgia of the game. Believe it or not, when I was a kid, my mom loved Tomb Raider. She used to play this game, and she would call the local game store to get tips on what to do and things like this. This is well before the internet, people. And, she would just play and play and play. And she died, and she would just keep playing and playing and playing. She also, funny story, back when I had my Nintendo 64, when I was a teenager, she played and beat a Zelda Ocarina of Time. And that annoyed me so much that I never went and finished that game and beat it. I was like, my mom beat the game and I didn't? Crazy stuff. But yeah, this game, it's okay, but it's super blocky and clunky. I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel down below about this game. NFL Blitz. I know a lot of you probably know this game. It is so much fun. What a great arcade game that has officially licensed NFL players. You can literally elbow drop and hit players late. You can't do that. I know that they did some newer versions of it, but they really cut that stuff out. Some people would say that the NFL stands for the No Fun League nowadays, and I kind of agree, but that's what I love about this game so much and being able to go back. What's interesting is the PlayStation 1 that I got was the one that's the PS1, and it comes with the screen on it. So I love to just kick back, have that on my nightstand and play some rounds of NFL Blitz, and it's just so much fun. I think that that's cool that so many of these games are timeless, and NFL Blitz is one of those timeless games that I just absolutely love. And if you're an NFL fan or like these old arcade style football games, pick it up. I mean, it's pretty cheap. Like, that's the great thing about collecting for PS1 right now, and that I've noticed, is that the games are cheap and they're so much fun. Even if they aren't great to look at, you'll forget about that pretty quick because they're fun. Metal Gear Solid. That's right. Now, this one really takes me back. I know this is obviously one of the, if not considered the best PlayStation 1 game, and I wouldn't argue that fact. It was one that came with my bundle, and, I think that the game is amazing. I think that it really kind of reinvented storytelling in a video game, and to be honest with you, You know, I know growing up, mostly, I mean, I was born in the 80s, but 90s was where I spent a lot of time gaming. And, you know, when you're a teenager, like I was a teenager when this game came out, this was the first time I did like what's considered an all-nighter, where me and some buddies stayed up all night playing through this game, right? Like, and that was something that always has stuck with me throughout my life. That it's such a good game, and I've loved the franchise ever since. And the game, even though it's kind of simplistic by today's standard, is still fun to go back and play. You know, obviously there's a lot of cutscenes. They do a lot of voice acting. That was kind of unheard of. I mean, there were some games that did that, but this one really took it to the next level, and it's still just as much fun to kind of get into and play. Once you get the controls down, it was a little bit hard at first to remember what to do, but once you get them down, super fun, and a game that really stands the test of time. Syphon Filter 2. Yes, the Syphon Filter series was really big on the PlayStation 1, and I hadn't really played much of it recently, and so I'm like, okay, cool, Syphon Filter 2, and they kind of just throw you into the action, and I didn't really remember what to do or what was going on, so I just kind of played this for a little bit. I think I played it for maybe, you know, a half hour to kind of reinvigorate myself and to kind of get up to speed with what the game was all about. For whatever reason, the game looks like dark to me. Even when I'm playing it on my TV, some of the other games all looked fine, and my capture stuff is all the same, but this one came out a little bit dark. I don't know. Maybe it's just because it's in the dark, and you know, that's supposed to be the ambiance. But again, I think the thing that hampers this game in 2024 is the very clunky controls and like the camera angles and things like that. I think that really make for a game that makes it difficult to kind of go back and play. I'm not saying if you're a fan of this that you wouldn't like it, but it's definitely a game that is probably only for super fans to go back and kind of enjoy or whatever. I'm not saying it's terrible. I have fond memories of it myself. I'm just saying going back to it wasn't like this super fun thing for me. It was a little bit more frustrating than anything. Well, we open with the Star Wars game, and we're going to close with the Star Wars game, mostly because my library is limited at this time. Oh well.
Is final. Tabled this motion is. Or is it?
You know, I'm a Simpsons nerd, I'm a Star Wars nerd, and sometimes you can mix the two together like there. But anyway, Star Wars Jedi Power Battles. I'm actually more familiar with this game as a Dreamcast game because that's where I originally first played it. Kind of cool to play it on PlayStation 1, although the Dreamcast version looks and plays much better in my opinion. But it's still a fun game to kind of go out and play, and obviously I'm a big Star Wars fan of the prequels, like I mentioned earlier, and so getting the chance to play as Qui-Gon Jinn a bit and kind of being able to pick your characters, I think is really cool. What's also cool about this game is it's co-op, so you can play two players at the same time on the same screen, which is a very rare thing indeed. And, you know, there is some difficulty spikes with the jumps and stuff like that, but overall, a pretty fun game. And like I said, I'm going to be getting more PlayStation 1 games now that I can actively collect for it, and maybe I'll do some more videos depending on if you guys want to see more on the PlayStation 1. Of course, if the video you know, isn't liked or whatever, and that's not a pity party or anything like that, but if people don't want to see PlayStation 1 videos, then I won't do them. You know, I'm trying to do what you all like, so hopefully that pays off. But anyway, there's some videos of the PlayStation 1 in 2024. So what do I think? Well, I think if you grew up with the PlayStation 1, there's some fun to be had there, and it's probably relatively cheap to play and buy most games. Yeah, there are some that are mostly, you know, that would be expensive, but for the most part, games are, you know, $5-10 here or there, $12, you know, even some of the better ones are, you know, $12 to $15. So it's not too bad to collect for. I don't know if the prices are going to go up on these or not. It's really hard saying. I know some people don't like me doing these videos because they think it creates FOMO. I just like collecting and, you know, going out and searching for video games. So I'm always on the lookout for new games, and PlayStation 1 seems like a fun one to collect for. Make sure you check your discs and things like that. And what's cool is if you have a PS2, they're backwards compatible with PS1. So there you go. I had a lot of fun putting this together. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed my video. Please leave a like and possibly subscribe if you enjoy my content. Have a great day, everyone. I'll catch you next time.